It is Wednesday, the 29th of January, 2024 at Protestia Studios, and this is an intelligence briefing coming to you from Protestia.com, where, as always, go to find the latest in Christian polemics and discernment news, sign up for the Insurgency email blast, and join us as an insider by going over to patreon.com/Protestia and signing up for only $5.95 a month and up. We would very much appreciate your support. Let's get into the headlines. First headline at Protestia.com. New Lifeway poll reveals what pastors really think of the prosperity gospel. Lifeway Research has just released a new study polling 1,003 Protestant pastors on what they think of the prosperity gospel, revealing that most reject it as rank heresy. That, of course, is good news. Using the definition, God wants to make followers materially wealthy and will do so if individuals hold certain beliefs or perform certain actions, specific actions, I should say. Lifeway noted that fewer than 1 in 10, 8% of Protestant pastors believe individuals must do something for God in order to receive material blessings from Him. 9 in 10 disagree, including 74% who disagree strongly. That is good news. You can head over to Protestia.com to read more details about this study. There were a few concerning things in there as well, but it sounds like the prosperity gospel is out of favor, at least across the majority of evangelicalism. Let's head to the next headline at Protestia.com. Prominent prophet repeatedly claims Jesus will kill critics of $1,000 seed offerings and said, Jesus has killed for me. This is pastor, and we're going to put that in quotes, David E. Taylor, is known for his name it and claim it faith healing and prosperity gospel antics. Speaking of the prosperity gospel, the ministry of fleecing the desperate, ill, and elderly has been so good to Taylor that his ministry recently purchased an $8.3 million Tampa mansion. Taylor, who self-identifies as an apostle, claims that in 1997 he was given the keys to the kingdom of heaven by Jesus in a face-to-face appearance and has been using them to spurious and shady ends. During a recent message, he ranted against people on the internet who criticized the 1,000 seed blessing in his ministry, repeatedly promising that God's going to kill you and that Jesus came to me, he told me he will kill people. We have the links to some of these videos over at Protestia.com. In fact, let's see if I can pull one up for you right now. I don't think that audio is coming through. Let me try this again. Here we go.
And then they tried to make me look like a thief on YouTube and all across this social media land. That's the wickedness of the media in America. That's the wickedness of certain Americans. And even Christians are involved with that kind of persecution. God gonna get you. God is gonna get you. Not only for messing with the money that comes through here and trying to make me look. God is going to get you for messing.
Well, you can see the rest of that. That is embedded over at from X, formerly known as Twitter. I believe on the Protestia account. There's also, you can see here, deposition highlights from when he had to answer questions about his fiancés and his boy, his fiancés. Maybe he has multiple. I'm not sure, but read more about this over at Protestia.com. Let's move on. Next at Protestia, headline, ERLC President Brent Leatherwood and PCA director signed statement against Trump refugee ban. Several Christian leaders have signed on to a statement critical of Trump's recent executive order to temporarily suspend the U.S. Refugee Admissions Program, USRIP, with the Southern Baptist Convention's lobbying arm leading the way. Last week, Trump signed an executive order designed to combat the out-of-control immigration that has swamped the country, including by non-governmental organizations that promote mass immigration and frequently rubber-stamp bogus asylum claims, pending a full review to ensure they are aligned with the United States goals. So there is a quote here from the statement itself. In fact, let's go over the statement real quick. We can see this. This is over at World Relief, worldrelief.org. Sustain the U.S. Refugee Resettlement Program. Now, something you should know, this refugee resettlement program they want to be sustained is paid for largely with, in fact, pretty much almost entirely with taxpayer dollars. So they want people to sign this statement to urge President Trump to uphold his commitment to protecting persecuted Christians and for his administration to sustain the refugee resettlement program. This has been signed, and this is the crazy part. This has been signed by the president of the Southern Baptist Convention's ERLC. But the SBC 2000, the Southern Baptist Convention's Statement of Faith, the Faith and Message, I should say, the Southern Baptist Convention's Faith and Message 2000, specifically goes against using worldly means to do kingdom work. And here we have Brent Leatherwood signing on to a statement trying to get the government to do the work, the charity work that the church should be doing. Organizations like World Relief, World Vision, and similar organizations rely heavily on federal grants to do the work that they do. And as the old saying goes, he who pays the piper calls the tune. You can read more about this over at protestia.com. Let's move on. Next headline at Protestia: Prophet Shan BS Cancelled by Charismatics for strangled wife prophecy and removed from Trinity Broadcast Network and the Sid Roth Show. Prominent prophet, quote unquote, Shan BS is being canceled from several charismatic organizations over allegations that he has been using secretly gathered social media information to make accurate prophetic words over people, including one that nearly led to the death of a young woman. A month ago, we wrote about Shan BS' false prophecy that led a woman to marry an abusive strangler, ? You'll see the link in our article, the one that I'm reading now, where we detailed accusations of using personal information derived from Facebook to put a woman in harm's way by prophesying that she marry a man who later tried to kill her. It's not the first time we've brought up Shan BS. We've been ragging on him for over a decade, calling him a wolf and false prophet for years, with the rest of the world finally catching up. You can see the screenshots of some of this information put out on Facebook, basically detailing the terrible and slimy and deceitful ways that Shan BS has been figuring out, how he's been supposedly making his prophecies. We're going to talk about him again in the next article. You can read more about this one over at protestia.com. But let's move on to the next one. Bethel's Chris Volaton leaked text messages excoriate Shan BS and reveals Beth's bad deeds as prominent prophet. Shan BS continues to be exposed and criticized for his long history of false prophecies and his tendency to use people's social media pages to prey on them. Chris Volaton, who I think he calls himself like the chief prophet or the chief apostle or something like that at Bethel Church, quote unquote church. There's been a revelation involving leaked text messages from Bethel Church's head prophet, Chris Volaton. For context, Volaton has been made aware of BS' questionable practices for a long time. Bethel leaders were presented with a dossier containing evidence and testimonies detailing how BS has been fabricating prophecies, which was clear and convincing. In response to these concerns, Volaton invited BS to come to Bethel to test him, where several hundred random individuals were gathered, people BS would not know, so he could demonstrate his prophetic abilities and provide them with prophetic words. Unsurprisingly, Shan BS declined that invitation. In leaked messages sent from one of BS' former staff members to Volaton, he condemns BS as a false prophet while simultaneously expressing his reluctance to make a public statement about BS' evident lying and prophetic abuses, fearing it might harm, quote, the entire prophetic ministry worldwide. It should be known, of course, that Chris Volaton holds to the position that somebody can be a prophet and still not prophesy correctly all the time. Like, they'll get some stuff right and some stuff wrong. That's the position of Chris Volaton. So, of course, somebody like Shan BS being exposed for making, quote-unquote, correct prophecies by slimy and deceitful means, it threatens the whole cabal. It threatens the whole charade. You could read more about this over at Protestia and see the screenshots of these leaked text messages in our article entitled Bethel's Chris Volaton Leaked Text Messages Excoriate Shan BS. Next headline at protestia.com: 500-pound woman miraculously healed of being morbidly obese at weight loss service. This is an insider-only article. If you subscribe over on Patreon, become an insider, and log into protestia.com with your Patreon account, this article will magically open up to you. We very much appreciate our insider supporters, and we do throw them some special access from time to time. because they really drive what we're doing around here. This article, I'll start it a little bit and then encourage you to go subscribe if you want to see the rest. The prosperity gospel and the excess of the charismatic movement have devastated Nigeria, where heresy and every weird and aberrant practice run wild with abandon. Look no further than Jeremiah Amatu Fufian, I think I'm pronouncing that right, the prophet, quote unquote, and founder of Christ Mercyland Deliverance Ministry in Nigeria, who has the devil on speed dial whenever he wants to spiritually scheme and plot. He specializes in dream interpretation and prophetic training and claims that he acquired, quote, heavenly master keys to unlock prosperity breakthroughs and success in people's lives. You can read more about this over at protestia.com. There is a video in bed as well. Yeah, we'd warn you, there's viewer discretion advised for those of you who are insiders and get that far through the article. But you can read more about it, of course, at protestia.com by logging in with your Patreon account. Next headline at Protestia: California drops charges against pro-life activists at Center of Undercover Planned Parenthood sells baby parts videos. Thank God. Following nearly a decade of courtroom battles and hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees, California prosecutors have agreed to drop the charges against pro-life activists David Daliaden, I don't think I'm pronouncing that right, Daliden, maybe, and Sandra Merritt, who were made famous for the 2015 staggered releases of videos showing Planned Parenthood was selling body parts. On Monday, the Center for Medical Progress, which Daliden leads, shared a press release announcing the state of California reached an agreement with CMP founder and president and our undercover reporter Sandra Merritt to totally dismiss the unprecedented video recording prosecution first launched by then Attorney General Kamala Harris. The agreement, a negotiated settlement with zero punishment, is in exchange for a new no-contest plea by Daliaden and Merritt on a single video recording charge. It involves no jail time, no fines, no admission of wrongdoing, and no probation. The new no-contest plea, which cannot be used adversely, will be entered into judgment as a misdemeanor in 6 to 12 months and then converted to a not guilty plea, dismissed and expunged. Seven of the 14 video recording charges initially brought in the case were dismissed halfway through as unsupported by probable cause. Other litigation continues about the constitutionality of antiquated state video recording laws like California. It should be noted, by the way, as I'm reading this, that this deal, this no contest plea that will later be converted to not guilty and be expunged, sounds relatively familiar. This is exactly what happened with J.D. Hall's embezzlement case up in Montana with his former church. Again, no wrongdoing admitted in either one of these things, as no wrongdoing occurred. Last headline for this intelligence briefing: Megachurch pastor announces he's stepping down to become a regular church member. Megachurch pastor John Weiss, the senior leader of the 12,000-member multi-site Southland Christian Church in Lexington, Kentucky, has announced he's stepping down from his position on good terms in order to become a regular member of the body, according to a report from the Christian Post. They said that he joined the church as the teaching pastor in 2000 and became the lead pastor 3 years later. He made an announcement during a sermon on January 19th, along with a full-throated endorsement of his friend, Pastor Scott Nickel, who's a member of the church's leadership team and succeeding him as the senior pastor. Weiss also interviewed Nickel, who said, "I always wanted to be healthier than the church I'm serving. That's definitely the case today. I'm not stepping aside because I'm tired. I'm not stepping aside because I'm angry or sad or because I feel neglected or discouraged. I'm not stepping aside because I've done something immoral or foolish." Instead, he revealed a deep desire to set the church up for future success, and that at the age of 52, he profoundly resonates with a verse in the book of Numbers. Says they must begin serving in the tabernacle at the age of 25, and they must retire at the age of 50. I guess he's taking that fairly literally. You can read more about this over at protestia.com. We have the embed of this announcement. It's also over on Protestia's X account. Thank you very much for joining me for this intelligence briefing for Wednesday, the 29th of January, 2025. Stay tuned to protestia.com for all of your latest in Christian polemics and discernment news. We'll talk to you again real soon. As always, Semper Reformanda.